With new, exciting, and intense games being released by the day, sometimes I need a break. However, because of how cooked my brain is, I still sometimes want to progress and casually play a game, even when I'm relaxing. This leads us to GoGoMuffin, which is also the sponsor of today's video. Now, to be clear, GoGoMuffin has a lot to offer, especially if you're someone who enjoys a mix of relaxed and active gameplay, so let's first talk about the idle system. This AFK mechanic is quite simple. When you log off, you receive a certain amount of resources for up to 12 hours while being offline, and the rewards specifically include materials to upgrade skills, the universal gold currency that is used in different upgrades, and other aspects of the game. Finally, the last reward that you can gain from being offline while gaining resources is EXP, which should be no surprise and is also helpful, of course, for progressing and leveling up the characters on your account. Now, moving beyond this core mechanic, let's talk about choices and classes. I found this simple yet familiar class system to be welcoming. I didn't have to read endless pages about what this fancy sounding class was capable of, and I found this to be a nice change of pace, but that's not even where things end. The combat system in the game, when you're freely progressing, offers two options. Have the game autoplay and use skills for you, or if you'd like, play the game actively and time abilities accordingly. Now, you might have heard this from other games or gachas or even videos commenting and reviewing other patches or updates to video games, but truthfully, having more options as opposed to less in this modern era of gaming feels much better than, of course, having less options. Now, this is just one aspect that GoGoMuffin delivers on, so let's actually move on to the other systems that the game has. On the topic of combat and gameplay, let's now talk about the dungeons in this game. There are 4 to 6 person instances where you work with your guilds and members for rewards and goodies, and this is where really the combat and depth of the game comes into play. Having a healer, a tank, and a DPS is important for certain fights, as enemies do have decent amounts of health and also require damage and timing in order to complete them. But even if you're still skeptical at this point, the game has a built-in matchmaking and party creation system that I genuinely didn't expect a game like this to even have. Many other titles with similar formats have left systems like this to be very convoluted or confusing to understand. That's definitely not the case for GoGoMuffin. Now, as with any typical dungeon though, completing these will give you loot that you can use to upgrade your character's power level, but in general, the fact that you can queue up with others or random players in general is fun. Additionally, on a funny note, you're also able to hear or talk to others in game with the mic/voice feature, and let's just be honest guys, that's honestly a pretty goofy and funny feature, assuming you decide to use this. Speaking of combat, however, there are also interesting mechanics attached to each difficult encounter and the bosses that are in them. And what I found to be the most enjoyable personally was queuing up with other people from the official server or even from my community in order to overcome boss mechanics, difficult encounters, or any content that would otherwise wall me from continuing my progression. Now, moving beyond this, we can now talk about the other overall systems that the game has to offer, and the first that I want to mention is the guild system, which I mentioned earlier. Now, it's true, things really are more fun together, and with almost every game that I play in 2025, the ability to share resources, clear content with fellow guildmates, or just in general discuss topics amongst the player base or fellow players is a must. And fortunately for GoGoMuffin, they focus on not just one but multiple aspects of this. Guilds also offer rewards for clearing quests, have expeditions for the sake of additional loot that drops once completed, but most importantly, guild activities have the unique trait of being exchangeable for items at the guild service area, including summoning strings that you can then use to pull for Mamons. That now leads us to Mamons, who I actually think are extremely cute. These are pets that affect combat in meaningful ways, and they also double as a gacha system that you can fixate on. To be clear, you gain over 600 pulls for them over the course of the main story, and with additional side challenges. But enough about the gacha, let's talk about how the Mamons work. First, there are various features and skills that you can upgrade for bonus effects and stats. This means that upgrading and caring for these Mamons will improve your overall performance. And second, when you reach certain levels, these Mamons actually evolve and take on new appearances too. I find that to be pretty cool, to be honest. But now the final system I wanted to talk about regarding GoGoMuffin was builds and equipment. Thankfully, this is not as difficult to understand as you'd think, and this is a good thing. Upgrading gear is very straightforward, with there being several indicators for where you would need to farm for said materials. Additionally, gear that is replaced shares levels with new gear, which makes this process much easier and much simpler to understand. Speaking broadly though, as you can tell, this game focuses on having depth while also making sure its foundation is simple enough so that all sorts of players can enjoy it. For skills, there are also endless combinations for you to mix and match with, and because of this, there are also plenty of opportunities to level up and get creative with how your character works. Something nice to start with as as well is the presets that characters have access to, and this will save you the headache of needing to change out your skills every single time. There also is the ability to change your class alongside quests and side activities specifically designed for promoting or advancing in your particular selected class. Now, this will feel very reminiscent of old MMORPGs where you progress from one level of tank to another, but given all the different goodies, skills, and unlocks that you gain from doing these, it actually feels very satisfying to go through this process. Now, although this isn't a system, I did also feel the need to talk about events and the camp in this game. The camp is where you can find numerous UI elements like your friends list, settings, the mailbox, and most importantly, daily activities that grant you free rewards. From the camp, things like the Lucky Snake event will allow you to gain outfits and cosmetics, but again, that's not the only thing that the camp gives you access to. There are also NPCs like the cute shopkeeper that give you a free chest daily if you visit them, and among this, they will also give you things like gold, while other potential rewards are also available that you can reroll for. If you haven't had enough of the free rewards, however, you're in luck, as there are usually more than one event going on at a single time. Is another event that is currently running, which allows you to spin a wheel and gain additional materials if you have heat metals. Truthfully though, what really excited me from everything in the camp is the various cosmetics. Now, me personally, the idea of being able to customize or change the way that my characters look has always been appealing and a main thing that I look for in games. In GoGoMuffin, this is by no means a complicated or unintuitive feature, however, which is a good thing. As you gain rewards from daily activities like the previously mentioned Lucky Snake event, cosmetics can be unlocked and equipped to change the way that your character looks as you prefer. The other good news here is that fashion tokens, which you'll use to buy items to then customize your appearance, are obtainable for free from achievement quests. But what's actually interesting here as well is that a lot of these items are dyeable too, which is nice if you're trying to mix and match a specific look with whatever items you have in your wardrobe. Now, I won't project or go too far into speaking about this, but I know that nowadays a lot of people are playing games differently. However, I've seen a lot of popularity around dress-up games or games that allow you to customize the way that your character looks. So with this, there'll be a good chance that this menu has a lot of time spent in it. As a final heads up for levels and unlocks, here are the various breakpoints where you unlock certain content in the game. Rifts are unlocked within an hour. Perilous Trials you can unlock after clearing rifts. Dragon Bounties can be unlocked around level 21. Waves of Horror can be unlocked around level 35. Guild Systems are unlocked at level 14. And Mamons are unlocked around level 30. Anyways, guys, before I end today's video, I also had a bit of B-roll of me just clearing through and fighting some content in the game that I'll be including here in case you're curious about what exactly it looks like when you're going through upgrading, fighting some bosses, etc. that I'll be listing at the end of this. That's going to be it for today's video though, guys. As a reminder, click on the link to download GoGoMuffin, adventure into the cozy fantasy world with Muffin, team up with players worldwide, and use your own strategy or strategic lineups while you're away, and to get rewarded even while you're idle. Now, once again, I also want to thank GoGoMuffin for sponsoring today's video, but that's all that I have for you today. But as we actually conclude today's video, I hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed, and as always, if you'd like to see the rest of my content, feel free to check out the rest of my socials, leave a like, a comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Good night.